Hey, Jeremy, so happy to have you here at the mini masterclass in Building Public Mastery.
Oh, thanks so much for inviting me, Kavan. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to talk to you is because I have seen you go from, really quiet, a small account, trying to figure out what to do, to now I think you have a huge audience. And it's not just the number, I think 8 something thousand followers on Twitter, but I can see that like people are engaging with you. I think you're beloved in the AI community. So I just want to quickly pull up the screen here so people can see what I'm talking about. So I'm on Jeremy's Twitter profile. And when I met him, I think he's at, I don't know, maybe 300.
That's right,
And
Kavan.
then you join Building Public Mastery. Of course, I'm not saying this is all because of the course. You took different courses as well. But I'm more interested in, you see here, you picked up something great. This tweet is crazy, 1,800 likes, 50 replies. So you kept writing about AI. I think you found your position there. But the one tweet I want to go to is something I saw yesterday. Like here, you are opening up a question and then everyone is jumping into chat and you don't leave them hanging. You actually talk to them. I really like that. So that's why we're here. Okay, let me stop sharing and we're back. Yeah,
Well,
Jeremy.
yes,
So maybe I can kick us off.
absolutely.
You were stuck at a really low number of followers for I think quite a long time. And I know you were trying to learn as much as possible, right? So can you share with us what you were thinking or how you planned it all this learning and execution at that time?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to. And I take what you said, Kavan, was to say make it actionable. Make it actionable. So I'll answer your question, which is tell me a little bit about your thinking. Then what would be the actionable exercise that I would recommend to Jeremy in the past? I'm not going to recommend stuff to people watching this. I don't know your life. I'd like to know your life. So, tweet with me. Um, but the thought process, I don't know that people in the building public community, your community, know this, but I did an entire cohort with you, like weeks and weeks with you. I turned up to every single class. Ours was in Australia, so I hosted the replay. It was with Kathy and
Malcolm.
Malcolm,
That
yes,
was
and we
amazing,
would
by the
do the
way.
breakout rooms. So I did every single exercise, every single breakout. But you know, one thing I didn't do, I did not. So just to let people know, if you want to, but other people did this, other people did this. You can start from zero. I did an entire cohort with someone as supportive as Kavan, giving us as many tips as Kavan did, and then having a community of everyone doing it, building their things. I did not even manage to get the courage to send one tweet. I did not send one tweet over the entire cohort. And it's not like I wasn't writing them. I'd say to Kavan, I'd come to office hours and I'd say, I don't know, what do you think about this one or this one? And instead of Kavan being like, what's what's the problem, man? Just hit the enter button and send. Kavan didn't do that to me at all. He said, hey, what is the thing that you're thinking about, or what's the thing that you're sharing, or where are you getting stuck and what does it feel like? Show me where you are. I appreciated that so much. In terms of what's actionable, um, an exercise that I would give to someone who was as shy of sharing on Twitter as I was, and this, I'm not talking about, this was 2 years ago. This was less than 4 months ago. My baby is
Right.
only 4 months
Right.
old.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about me having to not tweeted, that's 4 months ago. Um,
When you talk about the baby, it's your actual baby and the
my
Twitter baby.
It's true. My baby was actually born, little Parker. GPT-4 was released on the day that he was born. And I believe that is the day that I started tweeting. I think I was in the hospital. And then on my phone, maybe when you get sleep deprived enough, and also so much was happening in my life, it's like, let's go. So that was My actionable exercise for someone like me 4 months ago would be, if you don't feel like tweeting yet, because that's, everyone else is so good at it and you're shy, start by just replying to people. You don't have to, like, this is just me saying to Jeremy. This is literally what I did that got me used to it. I just started replying to people that I liked, and asking questions, to being like, hey, I don't quite understand what you mean, or hey, that relates. And it's really easy to reply to lots of people because you're just connecting to people you like and who are interested in what you're interested in. And then for me, this is the exercise. After you reply to a bunch of people that you like, so you're getting into conversations that you like, look back over the, what, 30 replies that you made that day, and surely one or two of them will feel like, oh, I should have tweeted that out. So my exercise for Jeremy is reply to a bunch of people because you feel like it, and then after a week of doing that, go back and look at your replies and be like, "Oh, that was a banger of a reply," and then tweet it out if you feel like it. Yeah.
So it was very interesting. Like I usually recommend people to start taking action because the clarity comes from action. But you
Mm.
decided to wait from tweeting, not putting that pressure on yourself until something hit. And you said you were in the hospital when ChatGPT came out. I'm curious. Have you been like really into AI stuff? Why did you suddenly say AI is what I want to focus on? Did you know that it's going to blow up, or
I
was there a
think.
plan, or was it a accident?
Oh, that's the other thing I might mention to a previous version of me. So if I'm giving an actionable exercise to Jeremy before, um, I would say, yeah, I know that there's like, so first of all, don't listen to Jeremy. Kavan taught us, don't drop wisdom bombs. Like, it's silly and it's rude, right? So if I'm dropping a wisdom bomb on you, that is silly and it's rude. So all I'm going to say is, here's what I would tell a younger version of myself. I would tell a younger version of myself something that's different from everything I see in my timeline. Everyone in my line is like, keep going, 1% better each day. I would tell a younger version of myself, quit. Do things that are easy. Honestly, just if something doesn't feel right, you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But why not just try some other things that feel, and then when you find the one that's really right, then do that.
I
My exercise would be, if you're not finding traction on what, and this is, I'm only talking to Jeremy. If you're not finding traction, Jeremy, so you were tweeting a lot about screenwriting, like, you're a screenwriter, um, writing for Disney Plus, and you're like, that's interesting, and I can't stop thinking about screenwriting. I'll tweet about that. I don't know that it felt that, like, people weren't like, oh, whoa, tell me more about that. And after a while, I was like, there's more to me than screenwriting. It's not I love screenwriting, but I also love other types of writing. I also love teaching. So before the screenwriting one, I used to be tweeting about teaching a lot.
yeah,
But my
yeah,
account
I
was
see that.
called Run Great Classes. Um, I would say, uh, if it's not feeling really right, this is only to Jeremy. I'd say, if you feel, Jeremy, if you feel like there's many different aspects of you, you don't have to be locked into one and you don't have to keep going at all. I would more say, try a bunch of different ones. And if one all of a sudden feels like it's the right fit, then do that. Yeah.
Wow, wow. This is the masterclass here. I know you're just sharing, but I consider this a masterclass because a lot of people would worry about niching down, but obviously you cannot niche down too early. Like what you're doing is amazing. You just tap into different interest area. And then if one get traction, okay, now niche down. I love that. Let's see. And so how did you know that you're interested in AI? You said something about easy. Did creating all this AI threads, did that become easy for you? And I see you have a lot of images. Can you talk about that a little bit, like about your process to now honing into this niche?
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's an exercise, an actionable exercise that I will share with the community if you like it at all. There's no wisdom in here. It's just a provocation that says, "Would you like to try this?" One thing is, I find lots of people getting upset at TV or reading the news, being like, "Oh, why doesn't people get this?" That's me too. I'm like, why are people saying? The exercise is the next time you feel a frustration that people don't get something or they're saying silly things, show some compassion or just be like, hey, they are sharing the best of their knowledge. And if you repeatedly feel that, then just think, hey, I think that person would actually like, if I'm not being a jerk about it, if I share an easier way to do things or a better way to do things. I'm not going to go and tell them, hey, you're wrong. But just if you're getting frustrated by some what seems like silliness in a particular area, that is the scent of your ability to add value, I would say. It's not a fail. It's not like every time you smell that, then you definitely have an excellent advantage, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't believe this. And then I try it and it's like, well, no one really feels me on that. But it is one of the scents for me, at least in my life, and for people that I help some people. When I see them really frustrated, I'm like, work out how it is that you can solve that frustration. Like, that is the scent of success. Yeah.
Mm. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, because we know that growing a community is not just posting content, and it's not
Yes.
just engaging, replying to their tweets.
Mm.
I also see you are, being featured in some AI communities. So other than tweeting and engaging, my last question to you is like, what else did you do to kind of help you grow on Twitter? Like, what did you do outside of Twitter at the same time?
Oh, okay. Outside of Twitter,
Yeah.
it's this is a funny sort of phrase. It's not the sort of phrase that I'll use because uh well sources of inspiration come from everywhere. Uh it used to be a thing in my youth, hanging out in bars. I didn't spend a lot of time hanging out in bars, but
We all
there
did.
is a stage where we're single, and
Yeah.
there's a different stage in life where we're like, I want to meet the person I'm going to start a family with, and now I've
Yeah.
met that person. And back then there was a thing that good-looking dudes love to say, like, the suave dudes. Actually, you're a good-looking dude, but you don't act like all suave. Like, the suave dudes who would drop wisdom bombs on dudes like me would
Right.
say, best way to meet women is to have something better to do than meet women. And I'd be like, why are you so suave all the time? But it's true, right? It's
It's so
if
true.
all you're doing in life is, it's like, hey, I want to meet some awesome girl. It's like, well, what have you got going on in your life? So when you said, hey, in terms of making the Twitter happen, what were you doing outside? I reckon that, like, the best way to for people to be interested in what you're doing is that you've got something, that you're doing something. And
Exactly.
so my actionable exercise, this can be done right now, is just think of what you did today, what you act, and it's just like Kevon says, the documentation. Just think of something that you did today, that where you're like, oh, how did I get over that? Like, why is there not a guide on? And then just make a guide. Like, if there's anything you had to Google and you're like, no, how come I have to work this out myself? Someone else likely needs to work that out. So think of it. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to show you how to win an Olympic gold medal. Like, some of the things that blow up for me, it's like, you uh, literally, we can screen share something I did where it's just like, I often ask ChatGPT to edit my text, right, Kevon? Like, just correct the spelling. And for me,
Yeah.
it's annoying that I can't see which bits ChatGPT changed, because I don't want
Oh,
to
not like
cut and
Google
paste.
Doc.
It's
Oh,
test. So I was just like, why is there not? So I just Googled how to do it or found out how to do it and did a thread on that. That's one of my most popular thing. It was literally just something I did that day that was annoying to me. So it's not like you have to do an awesome thing, but just think of anything that you're doing that might be useful
Yeah.
to other people. That's the
So basically,
exercise.
keep a curious mind
Mhm.
and then do something more than just tweeting. Tweeting is something so small. Like if you just write an article, it's already bigger than a tweet, and that's worth people's time. I love that. So a lot of people think that, it's just tweeting and then wait for people to come here because you're so amazing with
Mm,
your content. But we know that it's not true. Like you have to go
mm,
out and blend into the bigger community. And I still remember seeing that you are featured as one of the expert in, I think, an AI community or something. So you were actively doing that. Can you just quickly talk about blending into the bigger community?
absolutely. I think this is something I think you exemplify. I I just noticed that it's really easy to have a conversation with you, Kavan. And I mean that like on Twitter, if you ask something and I am like, oh, hey, I have something to say about that, you won't just leave me hanging. Like, like there's lots of people who will ask some question like, tea or coffee, guys? What do you think? But it will be really spicy, so that and then we jump in. And I'm like, oh, I found a great tea, and it's like I know that person is long gone. They posted it on Hype Fury a month ago. They don't read any of those things. It's like, what are you doing? It's rude. It's flat out rude. And I feel that you are the opposite of that rude person. You, it just feels like, so the exercise for the younger Jeremy from just a couple of months ago is look at what Kavon's doing, in making it feel like a conversation, and a conversation with a supportive person who tries to get what you're trying to do in life. And it's like, oh, hey, I know you're trying to do this. I just saw this. Have you seen this? Um, it's just nice to know those people. I heard someone say that hanging out on Twitter, but like thinking, oh, how am I going to find time for Twitter? Is That's a tough one. And I always remember asking you in office hours, where do you find the time, and which way do you block it out, Kavan? Someone said to me, if you instead think of it as I'm not tweeting or doing this or doing social media, instead it's I'm getting to hang out and have conversations with people who are really into the stuff that I'm into. That it feels like a reframe, but it's not. It's actually just the truth. In that, I've said this many times before, but I remember earlier that we had this baby shower thing, before the baby was born, and before going in, like I try not to be a jerk in life, Kavon, and sometimes I am. We all are jerks, but I try not to.
I am not.
So, so no, you're not. Uh, but I remember before the thing, thinking to myself, all right, when I meet Sarah again, or when I see Jeff, when I see all my friends, don't just bore them with the AI talk. Don't just go on and on. The rule is Jeremy will not breach the topic of AI unless someone asks. So if someone says, "Hey, Jeremy," then I'm like, "All right, let's go." But if they're talking about their baby or about their life, then I'll talk about that. That was my rule.
Mm, don't be a
And
salesman.
I was like, that's how much I've got bottled up. That's how much I want to talk about this old. So it's like in life, hanging out with my friends, I can't talk to them about what I actually want, to not be a jerk, because they're not in. So Twitter is this place where you can find people where it's like, I don't have to hold back. I can listen and talk as much about AI as I want anytime. 2 in the morning, I can do it. 2 in the afternoon, when I'm waiting for, anytime I can find people interested in what I want. And my actionable exercise for anyone who finds this useful is there something? Like if you're getting started the way I was not long ago, is there something where you're like 2 in the morning? I'd love to be talking about that. I want to find more people talking about that, because that's what unlocked it for me. I was trying, I was putting in the effort on other things, and they just didn't resonate the same way. Yeah.
Wow. This is a very good point to wrap up our masterclass with. It's not like an extra layer of work.
Mm-mm.
It's actually you are just so passionate about what you talk about, so it becomes the center of what you do in a whole. That's amazing, Jeremy.
I've got one more actionable exercise just in case you like it. When I was, and I still do this to this day, but when I had zero connections to anyone, I'd go and try to get started in conversations. And so many people like never continued the conversation. And then the question is, are we doing that ourselves? If someone comments on our thread and we're like, yeah, awesome, I'm getting engagement, have we taken the time to see what's going on in their life and to be like, hey, I like, have we clicked through to their profile? It's hard when you get 100 replies, but I think it sets you, if it feels right to you, to every time someone comments, even if you've got over 100 comments, to just go in and like they took the time to read our thing. What if we quickly take the time to read their thing and say, hey, I love what you were doing there, or hey, have you thought about this? Or yeah, that's my exercise. And I'm really surprised more people don't do that. I find it rude, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think this is the number one thing about community building. It's like show some respect. People show you respect, you better return the respect, right? Right now, I'm transitioning this building public mastery program from cohort to sort of self-paced and a community. So I think more and more people will come in and see this masterclass. So I hope if you are getting a ton of value from what Jeremy is sharing here, please go check out his Twitter profile. Please learn how he is becoming this active community member. I think you'll learn a lot. All right. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Thank you so much, Kavan. Can
See
I
you.
see you?